Yeah, got it. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And I'm going to give you a short introduction about Humanode and what we're building here. I'm one of the founders, together with Dato, who will come here a bit later. And we're building the first crypto biometric network where one person cannot create more than one node. Like, why are we doing that? In 2017, we got to a clear understanding that, you know, there are centralized systems, there are decentralized systems, and there are distributed systems. And those that are decentralized, that exist right now, they still suffer from the same problems as centralized systems because of their basis. So you have SYBIL resistance where you can have a common ledger, but eventually the resistance there is based on capital. You either have to buy equipment or you have to buy tokens and stake them. And eventually it leads to plutocracies and oligarchies, in their pure form, where, well, I can show you the numbers if you don't still get that idea being like researching crypto market, but that's complete true of how the infrastructure is distributed among people. You will have, one second, in Bitcoin, for example, when there are updates to Bitcoin, the mining pools usually take the decision to like take the upgrade or not. And in the last proposal, in the latest big one that has been prepared like for years, they had the Taproot proposal. One second, please. Okay, F11. And just look at the results that they got. I hope you can see those. Basically, you can see that four pools have more than 10% of the voting power of four, of the network. And you just need 51, remember it, in Bitcoin to kind of takes a decision to take the upgrade or not. And this is basically the decision-making body of the system. Four pools, most likely led by like one huge entrepreneur. And you eventually have about four people, maybe five, taking the final decision of the whole Bitcoin network. Nice decentralization, guys. In Ethereum, it was even worse. And the statistics on proof of stake networks, where you have delegators, right? Where you have the validators, it's almost the same thing or even worse. I mean, we have been on this staking market for 3 years. Now we're trying to change that. But when we were validator number 13, which held 3% of the network, well, we couldn't influence any decision. But then we came up to number 2 in the network, and basically there were just us and another big validator who can, if they cooperate, make any decision out there, whether all the others like it or not. And that's like, yes, these networks are decentralized in a fashion that you can trust them because they are secured by a lot of capital, but the decision-making bodies of those networks, how they develop, they are ruled by few. Of course, those few have a lot of money, and of course, they are very influential. So this is how we envision the real system, which is distributed, not decentralized among, like, around a few. And this is only possible where you have technology where one person has one node. That's it. We had no idea how to do that in 2017. Just no idea. But we've been as Paradigm, the one from Georgia and Japan, not from US. We have building a research institute for the last 5 years that is still working. So we were searching through different technologies that's what I tell you, something that will bring you to any market is when you just, you know, do so that those markets come together finally. And we had no biometric technologies in crypto before. We were searching through biometrics, robotics, neurotechnology, and we're kind of making them work together now. So what we came to is that there was a huge leap in technology of liveness detection algorithms and search and matching operations of biometric data. So the uniqueness check are basically search and matching algorithms. And now we partnered up with the company that has this kind of error. And it means that, well, there is a possibility that there will be a match between two different people, but it's 1 in 12 million people. And the thing is that if you look at the development of those technologies over the years, so what you have in capital-based networks is that it is going in the market in dollars, right? And we say that Bitcoin is supported by that amount of dollars because its capitalization is like that, or Ethereum or any other proof of stake networks, and dollars, they inflate over the years. Okay, so with the biometric technology, you get completely the opposite thing, because the improvement is 2x a year, like 100% improvement in search and matching operations on average for the last 10 years. And well, in liveness detection as well, but the best improvements have been made in liveness detection over the last 2 years, and that was by face tag. So basically they have come to the passive liveness detection. That's basically where you don't have to do anything, move your head around, no, nothing like that. They achieved the results having tested on tens of millions of people in real life for banks and US institutions, and they got the results. So maybe in 1 per 80,000 people, well, somebody will be able to spoof an identity that doesn't exist, that is not a person but a 3D face mask or a deep fake, and the chance of that has gone that low and improved, well, 3x was improvement over the last year. And this is passive liveness. If you take more active approach to it, then you will have even better results, like please smile in the camera, open your mouth, move your face left or to the right. And well, we can get even further. And so to say, when we build a network to ensure that 1 human equals 1 node, we will make people suffer a little bit because it will decrease the possibility of spoofing non-existent identity. So basically, when you have those biometrics, one of our biggest goals is to make them private so that you could use your biometrics, but nobody would know who you are. They could just get the proof of your uniqueness and your existence as a human being. People have to verify themselves to stay a node each month, right? And in case of malicious activity, the slashing will be blacklisting biometric data for the certain period of time. So, well, we're going to create here the first human verification layer. You will not need capital to enter the network. You will need to set up a simple server that will probably work on your home PC if you keep it 24/7. And it will eventually become the part of universal basic income that people all over the world have, just because they have proved they're unique, they are living human beings, and they set up a server to validate the transactions of the financial network, as well as of the crypto biometric network. Well, we'll talk about use cases later. I have to tell you that what we're building in terms of where we are now is quite simple. If you wish, and if we will have time, I can show you the video of how we launched the testnet. Now we're upgrading it to the public testnet, which will be announced in September, like this month. And then we will have a lot of test additions such as EVM compatibility, and we're going to get mainnet in 2022, in June 2022. So actually, I would like to ask you questions right away, because basically that was an intro, and later I'll be talking about the technological stack that we have. I wonder if you have any questions of why we do that, or anything like that. And you can type it into the chat or ask right here and open your microphones.
In the room should be able to unmute themselves to speak also.
Okay, so no questions for now. If you want to dive into technology, let's do it right away. So I'll give you like 1 minute to look at what we have here. And then I'd like to tell you what, of which layers do we consist as a protocol. And it's not in the right order here. So basically, from our point of view, the lowest thing that we have, and which basically everything is based on, is private biometric search and matching, as well as decentralized liveness detection algorithms. So to put you in more context, these are the neural networks that run either in the hardware encrypted server, or the cryptographic primitives are injected directly into the neural network between each of those layers for outputs and inputs. And basically, I just described to you the version number 1, version number 2. So what we will be launching this year's version number 1, it's based on the proven technology, which is now used only in centralized fashion. And it is was created by FaceTech, who are the leaders in liveness in the world. And basically, we are putting FaceTech's technology, and later on, we can add other biometric providers. We're putting them into an enclave, like Intel SGX or AMD SEV, in order to provide privacy by hardware. And this is done both for search and matching operations, for databases of biometrics, and for liveness detection, like processing of biometric data. Basically, in the version 2, this is something that Rafael will talk to about. We are building, probably we're the first ones building the biometric algorithms, which is like the whole stack of neural networks to detect whether you're living human being and unique human being. We're doing it completely with the cryptographic primitives. And well, there has been a lot of work done. Rafael will tell you about that. This is our layer 1, okay? This is like the lowest level. On the second level, we have substrate framework. It's modular, it's written in Rust, which is pretty secure. And basically, we are rebuilding that substrate framework to work with biometrics and the system we want to create. We're looking at like every line of code from scratch, changing it where we want it. And anyway, it will leave us compatible with the rest of the substrate stack. One of those, for example, this is like just one of the palettes in substrate. Well, I would say for these, like one of the modules. And basically in the substrate framework, you can choose event compatible smart contract layer without writing it from scratch as well. So everything is clear so far. All right. So the next layer, we call it is the consensus. Of course, consensus is now also the part of the substrate framework. And the thing about consensus that we've been researching the Snow family based consensus protocols because they have proven that they can work pretty fast and they can scale. Even when you have thousands of nodes there and it's already in production by Avalanche, what we're interested in is a linear ordered chain because we need that composability of smart contracts. And that is why we took like as an example, okay, the basic implementation of the C chain. And we are customizing the algorithm to work again with what we have to do with biometrics. But basically, due to the choosing substrate, I mean, it's a crazy modular thing that you can do anything with it. We will be able to change the consensus when we see that something new came out, a breakthrough. Well, the principle stays the same, one human, one node. Everybody is equally participating in the network. And the consensus, well, it matters, of course, for the speed of processing data and with like security requirements that we have to the system. And what we can do is actually swap from one consensus to another. And by the way, we're not just building custom Snow family consensus, we're rebuilding it in Rust in order to get it into substrate framework, and any other substrate company might use that for their purposes if they need networks scalable among tens of thousands of nodes. So far, we think it's the best approach if you don't have sharding. Basically, on top of that, we have finally the things that people will be, really operating with, not just technological stack, but what they will interact with. Fath is, this word comes from the word fathom. We were thinking a lot about monetary systems and how they should be built. You see, like every monetary system we have in the real world, they're failing and they're usually living no more than 50 years. And we came up with the new monetary algorithm that Dato will tell you about later. As we're talking here, not only one human, one node, but one human, one node, one vote. It needs a really, complicated decentralized organization structure because the system is pretty democratic and democracies don't work that well. We have to fight things like voter apathy, not the wisdom, but the opposite of crowds. And in order, not to rebuild again the whole system from zero, we can take and modify our Argon-based stack framework for building DAOs. And actually what it will later give is the benefit for other protocols to use our SYBIL resistance to have one person, one vote in their decentralized organizations. So thank you, everybody. I think that's it from me. Later we'll speak about our decentralized organization, then about the monetary policy we came up with, and then we'll show you some use cases that biometrics are capable of in the crypto world. Well, thanks.